Hi, I'm Jim Self, and here I am in my studio in West Danby, New York, and it's October 9th, 2016. And here's a picture that I've been working on, or actually it's completed a few years ago. And I thought I would share it with you a little bit because I wanted to just give a little background and tell you about what I've been doing lately. This is a painting, it's an oil on canvas, and it's called Alabama Head. You may wonder why I'm choosing to use Alabama Head. Well, partly because I grew up in Alabama, and I always loved to see the shape of the map of Alabama. It always reminded me of a profile face, and there are only a few in the whole United States that have that kind of quality, and Alabama is one of those. And here you can see the basic outline. It's a freehand. It's not a stencil or anything like that. I just drew it from my memory of what the shape of Alabama looks like. You know, there's a story once when I was a kid, the governor of Alabama built a house down on the coast, and he made his swimming pool in the shape of Alabama, and I thought that was the best thing in the world, and I always remember that. So somehow that's factored into this picture. I started it in 2007, and then came back to it a few years later in 2011 and completed it. And what I like about it, it's like a portrait. If you look at the side of Alabama, it sort of looks like a profile of a face, or a face. And that became the emphasis for the picture. But if you also look carefully at it, you'll see that here are some of the rivers there's many rivers in Alabama. Some of the bigger ones. This is the Tombigbee River, and this is the Coosa and the Tallapoosa rivers, some of my favorite names of all times. And if you look at it straight on, it sort of suggests a couple of eyes and a nose and a mouth perhaps. But if you look here, you maybe see another profile going in another direction, and then this profile going in this direction. And then I just like the whole idea of lines and shapes kind of growing out from the center. And so that's kind of where the compositional elements came from. And so I always thought, well, what if there was some character I made up, a kind of avatar character or a alternative personality that I could infuse all of my desires and wishes onto, and came up with Alabama Head because Alabama Head can do anything and go anywhere the imagination wants to go. This is one where he's kind of just posing for pictures. And the whole notion of, you know, this maybe looks like a carrot or perhaps even a phallic shape or something like that. And these things kind of came to me after. I had no real specific intention other than just to do the shape of the state and see what happened. And this is what came out of it. So this is another picture in the Alabama Head series, and as you can see, the name is written on the bottom. But this one, Alabama Head, goes to Paris. And there's the Eiffel Tower, and there's the shape of Alabama, and there's a smaller picture with some of the rivers in there. And this again was another picture that I did from 2011, but I was painted over another painting, so you can sort of see some of the images from that original painting shining through or slowly kind of emerging, and it creates an interesting texture. And then this shape around here is sort of like if you ever been to Paris and looked at a map of Paris, there are all these arrondissements, as they're called. Pardon my French, but it's kind of the outline of the different sections, different neighborhoods of Paris, and I loved looking at those pictures. So I thought, you know, Alabama Head is an alternative character, and he decides to go to Paris. And of course, he wants to go to the Eiffel Tower and visit the various different neighborhoods of Paris. So this picture was kind of referring to that, one of his adventures. And again, I'm using this whole idea of different sectors having outlines and then various shapes. And it's something that was very fascinating to me at that particular period in time. And I still work with that in other pictures that I make, but in a different way. So it's a kind of an emergent theme at this point. And why Paris? Well, Paris is always such a great place, right? And you think about it, it's like the favorite fantasy if you were going to think, if I were going to go anywhere in the world and travel and never been there, I want to go to Paris. Paris is the best place. And sometimes when you're talking to somebody and you like get off subject and you kind of want to just take them to Paris with you. It's like, let's go off on this adventure. So that's kind of what this picture is all about.